Hey everybody, it's Bruce with Nature Calls, and I'm out doing some practice setups with the MSR HubbaHubba NX. This tent is, I'd have to look at my statistics, but it's like the #1 tent. The HubbaHubba line, the Hubba top pick for long distance hikers. No, they aren't the lightest that you can find out there. But if you're going to go 6 months and you're going to be in some terrible weather, plus you want great livability, plus you want something that might last more than a year, maybe something you want to have it last 10 years or 20 years. The MSR, what they use, their materials, their poles, they use the Syclone poles from Easton, the extreme treatment for their fabrics. They just go to that extra like upper end, elite end of the lightweight backpack world. This is something that if you take care of it, you could have it for the rest of your life. I mean, it's pretty awesome tent. So, and I've had MSRs in the past that have lasted 30 years. So I've got a MSR Hubba, put a link to that video, but that tent was over 30 years old. I've had other MSR products that are really good. They do a lot of, they're Cascade designs, so you have quite a bit of product innovation. They're up here in the Northwest, which I love. I'm at the base of Mount Si right now. But this is tent, I would easily say if you're gonna invest in a lightweight backpacking tent, don't go for the ultra light. Go for the almost ultra light. And that's what this tent is. Yeah, 3 pounds, 14 ounces fully loaded with the bag, 3 pounds, 8 ounces with less bag, and they don't take into account things like stakes and all that. 3 pounds if you get rid of this inner and go with the fast fly situation. It can do all those things. Fantastic. So let's do a complete setup. Hey, one question that I always get is, what is it? How big is it packed? And every tent I think I've ever owned, as far as length is concerned, is somewhere between 18 and 20 inches. So basically the depth of a backpack, like every backpack out there, they don't make them 30 inches long. They don't make, so they optimize it for it. And this one, just looking at it, it's 19 inches long. That's pretty much standard. As far as the width, if you squished it down, so that might be like 2 Nalgene bottles worth. But this is something really cool that MSR does, is they have this cool tent bag, and you can actually get it even strapped down tighter. You can really do a lot with this tent bag. I wish every tent manufacturer would do that. It's just the best, but it does add more weight. This bag alone is, I think, worth the extra couple ounces. It's just an awesome bag. It's easy to put the tent in, protects the tent, compresses the tent. They've got really nice, look at this. They've even got nice reinforcement in here. So each one of these adds a little bit of weight. And, you can go with cheaper, lighter tents, but, you're going to miss out on something. So like most tents, you can get a footprint that fits the tent itself. And depending on how you feel about footprints, personally, I'm not a big footprint person, but if you do know that you're going somewhere where there's going to be higher abrasion, or if you want to just keep your tent a little bit cleaner, I can see where having a footprint would be good. What's really nice about most footprints and a lot of these higher end tents is that you can use the footprint instead of the whole inner mesh tent if you want to go fast and light. But they do have a really cool fast and light option that actually has bathtub walls on it. So you might want to look at that too, but we will not do the footprint. Now, it's applied to these ultralight tent stakes. They're good and everything like that. MSR makes great stakes. Most of my tents, I will opt them for the groundhogs, which is made by MSR, which is the #1 stake in my opinion. But these are nice and long, which is nice. Usually if you're going to get these kind of poles, don't skimp for something that's short. Try and get the long ones. These are the Syclone poles that are made by Easton. And, a lot of tent manufacturers right now are trying to figure out, whether to go away from aluminum, which is a great product, or go to some type of fiberglass composite. And if it's just carbon fiber, then it under a lot of strain, it will break. Aluminum bends. But what they've done here is this is a composite, and they've got a ballistic fiber, or like the given name to that, or a common name is Kevlar, plus carbon fiber to keep it light, and then the resins that they use. And Easton started off making arrows, and so hard impact, a lot of stress. They got into baseball bats, hockey sticks. I mean, these people understand what they're doing. So these are the Syclone poles. They are a little bit lighter than the aluminum. Probably not a ton lighter, but they are lighter, and they do have a great flex. And this is one of those uni designs where everything's all goes into these hub systems. Haven't seen that hub yet. That's pretty cool. Very simple. I'm sure it's well tested. Now I'm going to get this all set up. And take your time. Don't let things snap together. Take your time if you can. Of course, sometimes it's raining, but if you take a little bit of time, make sure everything's seated properly, then you won't have those failures. Most tent failures are the poles. And then the poles break, and then they go and they slice to the tent. So if you can, take your time to make sure all the poles are set just right. Make sure your little tie outs are lengthened. And with this style of backpacking tent, where you have the inner and then you have an outer, not all going up at one time, you have to stake out this inner part first, which there are techniques if it's raining on how to do this. But just know that if it's raining, you should probably, if you're going to camp out in rain, you should probably know how to put up a tent in the rain. So we got all 4 stakes staked out. And if we had the footprint, we would have had that underneath that. Now we're going to take the tent pole and lay it across the top. And you want this pole on top. You don't want it underneath. You want that over on top. Now we'll just start putting in the little pegs into the grommets. We have this little kind of a nipple thing here, and that just goes into that hole, into the grommet. Crossbar, again, just put that into the little grommet. Now we'll just go around and put on these clips. And these are fast release thumb clips, so they're easy to do with your gloves on. MSRs from my hometown, and so they do a lot of testing, cold weather. I mean, their plastics are good. If there's high wind, you could start at the bottom and work your way up. There's no wind today, so we'll just kind of work our way around. There we go. Very nice. Oh, so this is cool. I never haven't seen this new one yet, so this is pretty neat. It actually bows out over the top. That's going to be neat. So this is something that's new to me. See how it's coming out right here? That's a really nice little design. Sure, they could have done it like all the other tent manufacturers, probably saved a few ounces by bringing that in. But this right here is going to allow that rainfly to come out further, to keep your rain out. It's just a nice design, but it added just a little bit of extra weight, which I'm okay with, to get those kind of attributes. There's even a tie out right there. Isn't that sweet? Now this internal tent fabric is a 20D ripstop. You can see right here how nice their sewing is. Now, if you watch my channel, you know that I make things, so I really appreciate construction and how they're working with all these different tension points and the fabrics that they're using. This is all top notch. You can get cheaper tents for sure. I can make probably a 1.5 pound tent using really lightweight fabrics, thread, pull. I mean, anybody can do it, but if you're investing in a tent, something that's going to last you a long time, you want top grade materials. And even their zipper is just super nice. And the way they put it in there, they didn't scrimp. They could have made things a lot thinner. They could have done a lot of things to make it just a little bit lighter, but why? I mean, if you're really going to, make a durable tent that people can rely on, that people can actually put their lives at stake with, I mean, you want it built really well. And look at all the great work there. Nice big D doors, which they're really useful when it comes to putting your gear in and getting your gear out. You can get away with less, but these nice big D doors got nice little the MSR string fobs. It's just really useful to have a big D door. I really like them. Sure, you can get away with less. Save some weight, but I mean, I think they've really done a nice job. So the floor is a little bit heavier duty. It's a 30D. It's a 3,000 millimeter water proofness, where the rainfly is a 20D with I think it's 1,500. So it's plenty. Plus they have their it's called DuraShield treatment. It's a treatment that they've come up with. It's usually like a silicone base. I know they put some UV stuff in there, so and I trust MSR. I'm sure they do some really great stuff. So I'm 6 feet tall, and I can sit up perfectly straight. There's no problem with sitting up in here. I mean, I'm trying to sit up, and I'm not touching. The tent width is 50 inches. And it doesn't taper. A lot of tents will taper. They'll start at 50 and they'll work down to like 48 or 46. These tents, the HubbaHubba does not taper, which is really nice. You've got a lot of different sleeping arrangements that you can do with that. You can have, say, like, if you don't want to, like, if you have like a snore, you could actually have a head down here and a head over here. There's a lot of things you can do with a tent that doesn't taper. Another thing that I know my wife likes is, can she be in here and have some kind of privacy? So they brought this kind of a privacy panel up all the way around it. It's just a nice feature. It helps. And it really doesn't weigh any different. Although the mesh is a 15D, so it's a 5 less D, so it's slightly lighter. But it gives you that nice little privacy. Inside of the tent, at the heads, both heads, you've got this nice little pocket there, super nice. Then up above, you've got another little stove there. So you don't need a lot in a tent if you're truly backpacking. You might have a headlamp, you might have your cell phone, you might have your first aid kit. You're not bringing a bunch of stuff where you've got to load up these things with a ton of things. You might have like a hat in the head one. If you're getting cold, you can just throw on a hat. But you're not really bringing that much stuff, so you don't need a ton of storage space. People love storage space, but in reality, you don't really need that much. See how long we've got it. So 83 and a half inches long. So I'm 6 feet tall. Yeah, they've just done a great job. So I've got probably 4 or 5 inches from my heels out, probably another 5 inches at my top of my head. So if you're taller, say 6'4" or something like that, this tent would work. Let's get the rainfly. And what you have is a logo the MSR logo, and it's a little bit light here. On the inside, it's much darker, but you want the lighter side out. You want to find your doors. You're going to find your little grommet. There's that little grommet. Slip that on. To the other side. On the other side. And we got another grommet. You want to leave these as loose as you can in the beginning. Put that on there. Okay, so you want to leave those all loose. And then we will do our vestibules. Our vestibules nice and tight. And normally I push these all the way in, but I'm just doing a test run here. Now, if we want to tighten our vestibules, they do have a little line lock right there. I like to do it as much as I can. And now we go around to the perimeter and tighten it down. And now on the rainfly, I'm going to pull on the fabric, tighten that down, and keep going around until I get all that tight. Now, in any tent, condensation is a problem, especially when you get these waterproof coatings and that. So you want to get all your ventilation working for you. They've got little standout. So that pulls this vent out. I'll put a string on here and pull this rainfly out. See how it's a catenary cut too? So you're trying to get as much airflow coming in here to get rid of that condensation. But I'll definitely be putting on a guy out on there. I do guy out all my guy outs, regardless of what's going on. But there's all kinds of catenary cuts to get more and more airflow in here. There's none at the top, so you really got to watch where your wind is. Try and get some flow. All tents have condensation problem. So before I unzip this, so we have a real nice touch out here. They've actually sewn in a little hem along here, so that's a little rain gutter that runs all the way down on the top of the door there. Nice touch. I like that design feature. So you have your first stage, Velcro. Try and keep everything off the ground. So nice. So like this portion right here, it's like that far that's overhanging. So the rain is on the outside of the footprint. That's sweet. There's a close-up of that little rain gutter. That's just such a nice touch. And you can see, if we look straight down, the tent's going in, but it's like it's keeping the rain from getting in here, this little overhang part that they built into the design. So here's where you would have, here's where you'd put your backpack and your shoes. There's plenty of room there. You don't need a lot. You just need enough for an empty backpack and your couple of pairs of shoes, probably, depending on if you put your shoes on the inside. You don't need a whole ton of area here, but this is a nice area. I mean, that's definitely going to keep the rain off your gear. But once you empty your backpack, when you're in a tent, your sleeping bag, all you have left is kind of weird, is like a food bag and a cook kit. That would fit in here too, but you'd probably put that up in a bear bag. All right, so they give you another option to kind of keep rolling this all back. You can roll it under, but if you're, you don't think it's going to rain, but you have a little bit of a hint, you could go with this, and you've got even more open. And it's still overhanging, so you could still get away with quite a bit, even if it was like a little light rain. See, I can see this gap, like from here to there. I mean, so this is overhanging the way the tent curves out at this peak here. Nice design. All right, so you got the MSR HubbaHubba NX, top quality, just top quality. MSR makes great stuff, and they're innovation leaders. So if you're looking for a backpacking tent that's going to last you, that you can rely on, that you can basically stake your life on, go for the higher grade. I've got tons of less expensive tents, less quality, and they're fine if you're just going out once a year in the sun no weather issues. But if you've got any kind of situation where you're might hit hail or rain or snow, even though it's a 3-season tent, go with something that's going to last, it's going to be protective, and it's something that's going to last you years and years. So thanks a lot. I'll see you out on the trail. Bye now.